Oh God, that's not supposed to. Oh God, I'm so sorry. That's not supposed to be on. That's not supposed to be on. What's up? What's up? Welcome on in, everybody. Right off the bat, you're gonna notice some immediate differences and changes. I spent the better portion of today upgrading, well, not upgrading, but updating my camera settings, like learning how my camera is actually supposed to be used. And I was doing a lot of shit wrong. I was doing a lot of stuff wrong. So take in all this crispiness. It looks great. We're all running it what we need to be running at. Yeah, dude, I'm stoked. I'm excited. This week has gotten to the point where, like, I'm just not going to catch up on stuff. So I'm just kind of muddling through and trying to get to next week. I had a lot of stuff that I was trying to accomplish before today and just like for the stream and stuff this week. But some stuff's been going on at my job. I possibly have an opportunity to move up in the company and get paid a little bit better and do something that I want to do, you know, something I'm more passionate about, like graphic design and stuff. So hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, hopefully that goes through. But that's taken up all of my time the last couple of days. So yeah, there was no, again, for we're 5 episodes in, for the 5th time in a row, I haven't really been able to do a whole lot of research into this episode. Thankfully, Edgar Allan Poe, which you guys voted, is a pretty easy one to do, I think. You know, very well known. I mean, everybody knows The Raven. When I already went ahead and pulled up a couple articles and stuff that we have a starting point. And man, I'm super excited about it. Like, one thing right off the bat, did you know that Edgar Allan Poe was in the military? I didn't know that shit. And apparently he was a strong athlete too. And like, looking at a picture of this dude, he does not look like that. He does not look like somebody who would be like a really strong athlete. And we're going to learn all about that today. Welcome on in. What's up, Shoddy Starfish? Happy birthday, Shebu. Congratulations. Another year. Happy birthday. I'm so glad you guys are all here today. It's going to be a really fun episode. But we are flying by the seat of our pants today. And at least we have some nice, crispy new camera stuffs that we can at least appreciate. Just right off of the bat, one of the things, I had my shutter speed turned up like way too high. Like, it's only supposed to be double whatever your frames per second is. And so like mine was supposed to be set at like 120, 125. It was at like 400. So I think that's where like a lot of the clipping and stuff I was having problems with. The autofocus was what I had the most problems with ever. I've had problems with that since I bought the camera. And I figured out that there's a setting in the camera that does like face tracking and actually tracks your face. And I didn't know that shit. Just look at my hands. Look at how crisp that looks. It's insane. It's crazy. I didn't know shit about cameras. I thought I had it. I am winging it. I'm winging it live. We're doing it. We're doing the thing. But yeah, so if you missed it, if you're just getting here, look at this. Look at these hands. It's freaking crazy, dude. I love it. But how's everybody's day been going? How's everybody's day? Before we jump into Edgar Allan Poe, I did have a little bit of time to queue up some music for the reading that's going to take place. I figured we would read The Raven at some point today during the broadcast, and I got some stormy music ready for it. So it's going to be a really good time. It's going to be a really good time. But now that you guys are all here and we're ready to start this thing, we'll jump right in. So I said we were going to jump right in, but I got coffee. I need to drink a little bit of coffee first. I also, as the weeks progress, I will work on an actual overlay and make this look not as chaotic. But for now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to move the camera We're gonna move our camera. We're gonna move our camera up here, maybe, or like at least right underneath the Wikipedia thing. Move our chat. Is that readable? Can you read that? That's good, right? All right. Screams with existential dread. Always. Welcome to my life. I am, you know, and like, dude, before we even, just because you said that, we're gonna get into that real quick. I feel I am very proud of myself and happy with the progress I've made in things that bother me, especially like today. Like, all week, there have been things that I have been trying my hardest to get done, things that I want to get done, and just every time something comes up, and I hate it. And so instead of pushing off stream today or being like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I'm swamped, I'm just gonna have to cancel it or whatever, you know, I'm just like, look, I had this planned, I'm not gonna push this off. Just whatever doesn't get done just doesn't get done. Like, I can't output more than I can output, and I'm you know, and so like forgiving myself for that and not letting it like ruin today's stream. I know I was a couple minutes late. I was eating some taco bites, but instead of like letting that ruin the vibe, yeah, dude. So like that's just one thing, and like not letting stuff like that stress me out to the point where I'm like, man, like I'm not sleeping and I'm just worried about stuff all the time. Like not being stressed out about stuff. So it's good. It's good. You know, like this is, and not having like unrealistic expectations of myself, you know, because that's always been like the biggest problem is, like I set these goals for myself and like I want to be like a high achiever and I want to get all this stuff done and I want to like reach these goals, but at the same time I think I expect too much out of myself. And so like, yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. It's been really really progressive, moving forward and realizing these things and like, yeah, not letting myself pressure myself into stuff. We'll get out of this whole like mind fuck talk. Edgar Allan Poe, the Poe Meister, the Poe Man. Everybody knows him for The Raven, just right off the bat. That's what I know. I know he's a poet. I think he's English, so I think he's an English poet. We don't know that. Oh no, just looking at the screen, Richmond, Virginia. So I was wrong. So that's we're 1 for 2. He was a poet, but he is definitely from America. So we're about to learn. Edgar Allan Poe, born Edgar Poe. So the Allan looks like it was added, maybe. January 19th, 1809 to October 7th, 1849, was an American writer, poet, editor, and literary critic. Poe is best known for his poetry and short stories, particularly his tales of mystery and the macabre. He is widely regarded as a central figure of Romanticism in the United States and American literature. Poe was one of the country's earliest practitioners of the short story and considered to be the inventor of detective fiction genre, as well as the significant contributor to the emerging genre of science fiction. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he even had anything to do with the detective fiction genre. So it's a subgenre of crime fiction and mystery fiction in which an investigator or detective, either professional, amateur, or retired, investigates a crime, often murder. The detective genre began around the same time as speculative fiction and other genre fiction. So, like, just right off the top of my head, like detective fiction, Sherlock Holmes, you know, stuff along that vein. So that's super cool. I didn't know that. As well as a significant contributor to the emerging genre of science fiction. Poe is the first well-known American writer to earn a living through writing alone, resulting in a financially difficult life and career. So yeah, we have known that about like most writers and artists throughout history. Most of which at the time that said works were being created, they were not getting paid for it, you know, and most of them died, not ever knowing how popular their works were going to be, you know, or how historical their works were going to be. And I think that's crazy, but it looks like he successfully was able to live off of the wages from his works, but it says that it was still a very difficult life and career to make that happen. I'm drinking an iced coffee, by the way. Poe was born in Boston, the second child of actors David and Elizabeth Eliza Poe. His father abandoned the family in 1810, and when his mother died the following year, Poe was taken in by John and Frances Allen of Richmond, Virginia. They never formally adopted him, but he was with them well into young adulthood. He attended the University of Virginia, but left a year due to lack of money. He quarreled with John Allen over the funds of his education and his gambling debts. In 1827, having enlisted in the United States Army under an assumed name, he published the first collection, Tamerlane and Other Poems, credited only to a Bostonian. Poe and Allen reached a temporary rapprochement, that's a good word, after the death of Allen's wife in 1829. Poe later failed as an officer cadet at West Point, declared a firm wish to be a poet and writer, and parted ways with Allen. Poe switched his focus to prose and then spent the next several years working for literary journals and periodicals, becoming known for his own style of literary criticism. His work forced him to move among several cities, including Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City. In 1836, he married his 13-year-old cousin. That's fucking gross. Virginia Clem, but she died of tuberculosis in 1847. In January 1845, Poe published the poem The Raven to instant success. He planned for years to produce his own journal, The Pen, later named The Stylus, but before it could be produced, he died in Baltimore on October 7th, 1849, at the age of 40 under mysterious circumstances. Woo! The cause of his death remains unknown and has been variously attributed to many causes, including disease, alcoholism, substance abuse, and suicide. Poe and his works influenced literature around the world. I wonder if I can zoom in on this a little bit more. Uh-oh. Oh no, I think I broke it. Or like... Oh yeah, it's 175. Maybe could do this. Sorry. It's bugging me how it's like kind of cut off a little bit, so I'm trying to fix that. I don't know what that was. This is great, right? I'm so professional. I'm Oh, I think it's because you can't read the chat if I make it any smaller. What did I do? When did you sneak in? I think this is fine. I think this is fine. Maybe. I broke the chat box. Yeah, something's messed up with the chat box. I don't know what's going on with that. We're just gonna ignore that. Just pretend like it's not even there. Just don't. Are you driving home? We ain't live. When did you sneak in? Hey, what's up? Overspiced. We already finding out about Clementine. We briefly read up on that. We haven't gone back. Well, I guess in this she already died. We can go back and read up on Clementine. Ugh. I'm just trying to enjoy my coffee. And now we gotta learn about Virginia Clem. This debauchery. Okay, let's finish this intro real quick, though. Poe and his works are influenced literature around the world, and specialized fields such as cosmology. is a branch of metaphysics dealing with the nature of the universe. The term cosmology was first used in English in 1656 in Thomas Blount's Glossographia in 1731, taken up in Latin by German philosopher Christian Wolff in Cosmologia Generalis. And cryptography is the practice and study of techniques for secure communication and the prevention of adversarial behavior. More generally, cryptography is about constructing and analyzing protocols that prevent third parties or public from reading private messages. Yeah, and if you didn't know that, then you're dumb. Because I didn't know that. He and his work appear throughout popular culture and literature, music, films, and television. A number of his homes are dedicated to museums today. Yeah, the Mystery Writers of America present an annual award known as the Edgar Award for distinguished work in the mystery genre. No, wait, a number of his homes? A number of his homes? It just said that he had a difficult life. What is up with that? All right, now before we prop back into the old Edgar Allan Poe family, we're going to jump into Virginia Eliza Clem Poe. Yeah, don't worry about it. When you marry. Coffee. Oof. We're skipping forward in the timeline a little bit because now it's going back to his early life. What's up, LaDavy? Oh, Poe. He's one of the cooler characters from the new Star Wars trilogy. See, you know what's funny is anytime that Poe gets brought up, I don't know why, because like his last name is Dameron, right? Or Dameron. So every time I see him, I'm just like, Poe Dan Marino. And like, ever since I said it the first time, because it's not even that funny, but the more you hear it, the funnier it becomes. So after the first time, just every time I hear Poe now, I'm just like, Poe Dan Marino. And I just laugh so hard. You mean Moon Knight? Yeah. He was in Dune, too. I really like him. Oscar Isaac's awesome. I even think he did a really good job with Apocalypse, even though that movie was shitty. Overall, they should have just stopped making X-Men movies. Like, give it back to Marvel, guys. You haven't seen Dune yet? He doesn't have a big part in it, but his part is still really good. It just shows he is a very versatile, like, well-rounded actor. Virginia Eliza Clem Poe. Nee Clem, August 15th, 1822 to January 30th, 1847. Was the wife of American writer Edgar Allan Poe. The couple were first cousins. That's first cousins, all right? And publicly married when Virginia Clem was 13 and Poe was 27. So just fucking gross and gross. Biographers disagree as to the nature of the couple's relationship, though their marriage was loving. Some biographers... I didn't realize it was coming out of two things not blood related. Kung Fu! You just scared the shit out of me. Where's my... Why is the alerts box so big? I don't know why it's doing that. Help me forget the world outside exists. I can do that. Might not be the way you want to with what we're talking about right now. Also, that video. Hold on. So you can see all the fancy new camera stuff. Doesn't that look so crispy? You can see like all the lines on my face. There's like no tracking or like tracing or trying to autofocus. I got a tracker on. Oh, Overspice. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kung Fu Hustle. You are awesome. I'll do my best to take your mind off of outside. I'll take Poe over the Supreme Court any day of the week. That's partly why I didn't put a going live post out today, 'cause a lot of people are feeling some way, and I wish I could take their pain. Edgar Allan Poe with these fine people here. So thank you again for everything. Thank you for being here. I love you guys. Whoop, 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 whoop. Who all got subs? Who all got subs? Let's count them down. Lavenroft, Shoddy Starfish. Congratulations, guys. Make sure you say thank you. You said it. I just took a big old gulp of coffee and it's really cold in my belly. Whew. All right, back to Clementine. The couple, biographers disagree as to the nature of the couple's relationship. Though their marriage was loving, some biographers suggest they viewed one another more like a brother and sister. Does not make it any better. Why would you even include that? It's not like it's making it any better. No. See, you thought they were getting married like they were first cousins, because they were, but they were actually more like a brother and sister. Jesus. What's up, Pog? Welcome in, dude. In January 1842, she contracted tuberculosis, growing worse for 5 years until she died of the disease at age 24 in the family's cottage at that time outside New York City. Along with other family members, Virginia Clem and Edgar Allan Poe lived together off and on for several years before their marriage. The couple often moved to accommodate Poe's employment, living intermittently in Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York. A few years after their wedding, Poe was involved in a substantial scandal involving Francis Sargent Osgood and Elizabeth F. Elliot. Rumors about amorous improprieties on her husband's part affected Virginia Poe so much that on her deathbed, she claimed that Elliot had murdered her. After her death, her body was eventually placed under the same memorial marker as her husband's in Westminster Hall and Burying Ground in Baltimore, Maryland. Only one image of Virginia Eliza Clem Poe has been authenticated, a watercolor portrait painted several hours after her death. Whoa. That was painted after her death. That's some weird shit. They're just like, are there any pictures of her? No. Do you want one? This is your last chance. Cool. Hope that's not against TOS. This is a dead person. I doubt it is. I mean, it's on Wikipedia. It's open. It's like open source. It's dun dun dun. Oh man. Okay. The disease and eventual death of his wife had a substantial effect on Edgar Allan Poe, who became despondent and turned to alcohol to cope. Her struggles with illness and death are believed to have affected his poetry and prose, where dying young women appear as a frequent motif, as in Annabel Lee, The Raven, and I don't know how to say that word. Ligia. That's an early short story. That artwork is kind of dope though. I really do like that artwork. That's pretty freaking sick. I would like to see this. Just let me zoom it in. Thank you. That's dope. I'm gonna print it out and like color it in with crayons or something. I'm keeping this. I'm keeping it. Keeping it for later. Pew, 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 pew. It's dope. That's some dope artwork. I like it. Real recognize real, all right? That's some good shit right there. All right. We don't need to hear about her early life. Wanted to hear more about her time with Edgar. Marriage plans were confirmed, and Poe returned to Baltimore to file for a marriage. Wait, where did they meet? How the fuck did this even happen? That's more the question, okay? I want to know, like, when. Okay. Maybe we're gonna learn. We are gonna learn about Clementine's early life. Here we go. That's about their parents. Her parents. Maria supported the family by sewing and taking boarders. Blah, 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 blah. Edgar Poe first met his cousin Virginia in August of 1829, 4 months after his discharge from the Army. She was 7 at the time. In 1832, the family made up of Elizabeth, Maria, Virginia, and Virginia's brother. What in the... So he was in the Army, met his cousin Virginia 4 months after his discharge from the Army. She was 7 at the time. I know. They are family. That's the fucked up part. Well, that's one of the fucked up parts. It's all fucked up. I don't care who you are. So let's see when this progressed. Was able to use Elizabeth's pension to rent a home at what was then 3 North Amity Street in Baltimore. Poe's older brother, William Henry Leonard Poe. Why the fuck with the 4 names, too? Why can't we just... William Poe, William Henry Leonard Poe, who had been living with the family, had recently died August 1st, 1831. Poe joined the household in 1833 and was soon smitten by a neighbor named Mary Devereux. The young Virginia served as a messenger between the two, at one point retrieving a lock of Devereux's hair to give to Poe. Elizabeth... What different times. Elizabeth Cairns Poe died on July 7th, 1835, effectively ending the family's income, making their financial situation even more difficult. Henry died around this time, sometime between 1836, leaving Virginia as Maria Clem's only surviving child. In August 1835, Poe left the destitute family behind and moved to Richmond, Virginia, to take a job at the Southern Literary Messenger. While Poe was away from Baltimore, another cousin Nelson Poe, the husband of Virginia's half-sister Josephine Clem, heard that Edgar was considering marrying Virginia. Nielsen offered to take her in and have her educated in an attempt to prevent the girl's marriage to Edgar at such a young age, though suggesting the option could be reconsidered later. Edgar called Nielsen, the owner of a newspaper in Baltimore, Maryland, his bitterest enemy, and interpreted his cousin's actions as an attempt at breaking his connection with Virginia, the 7-year-old child. On August 29, 1835, Edgar wrote an emotional letter to Maria declaring that he was blinded with tears while writing, and pleading that she allow Virginia to make her own decision. Encouraged by his employment at the Southern Literary Messenger, Poe offered to provide financially for Maria, Virginia, and Henry if they moved to Richmond. What in the fuck? Not gonna lie, my best friend growing up had a little sister, and she's fun. That's your best friend, though. That's not your cousin. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Because I guess, like, families split through, like, divorce and stuff, so, like, names don't necessarily mean a whole lot, but, like, I don't know. I think back then, I feel like it meant a lot more. This still stands out as, like, pretty fucked up for the time period, not just casual commonplace for back then, where they were just, like, marrying their cousins. Yeah, exactly, Civic. If your best friend said that, it would be weird. Marriage plans were confirmed, and Poe returned to Baltimore to file for a marriage license on September 22nd, 1835. The couple might have been quietly married as well, though accounts are unclear. Their only public ceremony was in Richmond on May 16th, 1836, when they were married by a Presbyterian minister named Reverend Amasa Converse. Holy fuck, that guy does a lot of cocaine. Did a lot of cocaine. There's no way that's a person. Is that Doc Brown? Didn't they have... Aren't there, like, rules against this? Have a good rest of your night at work, Pog. That is just terrifying. Look at this dude. I need a picture of him for later too. Should toss this in the spank bank for later. It just looks like a dollar bill when you do that. The picture's got to be bigger. Thinking about making it an emote. Wow. It's a high-tech filing system. You get used to it. All right. Poe was 27 and Virginia was 13, though her age was listed as 21. This marriage bond was filed in Richmond and included an affidavit from Thomas W. Cleland confirming the bride's alleged age. The ceremony was held in the evening at the home of Mrs. James Yarrington, the owner of the boarding house in which Poe, Virginia, and Virginia's mother, Maria Clem, were staying. Yarrington helped Maria Clem bake the wedding cake and prepared a wedding meal. The couple then had a short honeymoon in Petersburg, Virginia. Marty, I gotta go back in time. We need to make sure your parents get married. The only issue is they're cousins. I mean, dude. History is fucked up. Like, that's more and more as we do these. It's just like, oh yeah, by the way, some really fucked up shit happened too. And like, you know, we just kind of gloss over that. Debate is raged regarding how unusual this pairing was based on the couple's age and blood relationship. Noted Poe biographer Arthur Hobson Quinn argues it was not particularly unusual, nor was Poe's nicknaming his wife Sissy or Sis. So that was his nickname. That was his nickname for Virginia, was Sissy or Sis. Another Poe biographer, Kenneth Silverman, contends that though their first cousin marriage was not unusual, okay, so I guess for the time period, it wasn't unusual to marry your cousin. Her young age was. It has been suggested that Clem and Poe had a relationship more like that between brother and sister than between husband and wife. Biographer Arthur Hobson Quinn disagreed with this view, citing a fervent love letter to argue that Poe loved his little cousin not only with the affection of a brother, but also with the passionate devotion of a lover and a protective husband. Some scholars, including Marie Bonaparte, have read many of Poe's works as autobiographical and have concluded that Virginia died a virgin. It has been speculated that she and her husband never consummated their marriage, although no evidence is given. So how did they come to this conclusion? This interpretation often assumes that Virginia is represented by the title character in the poem, Annabel Lee, a maiden by the name of Annabel Lee. Poe biographer Joseph Wood Crutch suggests that Poe did not need women in the way that normal men need them, but only as a source of inspiration and care, and that Poe was never interested in women sexually. Friends of Poe suggested that the couple did not share a bed for at least the first 2 years of their marriage, but that from the time she turned 16, they had a normal married life until the onset of her illness. So like friends of Poe, like, think that, you know, like, they had more, like, of a normal marriage and they were, like, having sex and stuff. And then, like, but the biographers who have been writing about Poe think not. And so, like, that almost makes me wonder, because, like, if they're a biographer of Poe, they obviously are, like really invested in him as a writer, and they love his work, and they kind of, like, idolize this guy to, like, I don't know, to just on a whim, just like, no, you can tell in his writing. No, he's totally wasn't doing that, you know. But then, like, actual accounts of his friends are like, yeah, no, like, after she turned 16, they had a normal marriage. Virginia and Poe were, by all accounts, a happy and devoted couple. Poe's one-time employer, George Rex Graham, wrote of their relationship. His love for his wife was a sort of rapturous worship of the spirit of beauty. Poe once wrote to a friend, "I see no one among the living as beautiful as my little wife." She, in turn, by many contemporary accounts, nearly idolized her husband. She often sat close with him while he wrote, kept his pens in order and folded and addressed his manuscripts. She showed her love for Poe in an acrostic poem she composed when she was 23, dated February 14th, 1846. Ever with thee I wish to roam, dearest, my life is thine. Give me a cottage for my home and rich old cypress vine, removed from the world with its sin and care and the tattling of many tongues. Love alone shall guide us when we are there. Love shall heal my weakened lungs, and oh, the tranquil hours we'll spend, never wishing that others may see. Perfect ease we'll enjoy without thinking to lend ourselves to the world in its glee. Ever peaceful and blissful will be. All right, I think that's enough of Old Virginia, unless you want to get into... There's like, I think there's like a conspiracy theory or something about her being murdered. She said on her deathbed that somebody else murdered her. Here we go. January 29th, 1847, Poe wrote to Marie Louise Shue, my poor Virginia still lives, although failing fast and now suffering much pain. Virginia died the following day, January 30th, after 5 years of illness. Shue helped in organizing her funeral, even purchasing the coffin. Death notices appeared in several newspapers. Hold on. Let's skip down. Only one image is known to exist for which the painter had to take her corpse as a model. God, Jesus Christ, it's dark. Effect and influence on Poe. Is there something? Yeah. I guess let's Google it. Eliza Clem Poe murdered. Murdered? Question mark. Does it say? Let's check out HalloweenHorrorNights.com fandom. This will be a fun detour. All right. We already knew about that. Some here suggest that they viewed brother and sister. Okay, hold on. The disease and eventual death of his wife had a substantial effect on him. Yeah. We know that. Was that literally it? Like the stuff that brought me in here was not even in here. That on her deathbed she claimed that Elliot had murdered her. So what is with this Elizabeth F. Elliot? What's your deal? What's your deal? Why do they think you're murdering and stuff? Wow. I don't know, guys. Does she look like a murderer? I don't know if she looks like a murderer. Elizabeth Fries Loomis Elliott. So she was an American writer, historian, and poet herself. She also was the first writer. It's just like, I don't know. She just doesn't look like a murderer to me. The lives of women who contributed to the American Revolutionary War. She married the chemist William Henry Elliott, and the couple moved to South Carolina. She had published several books. She was involved with a public scandal involving Edgar Allan Poe and Francis Sargent. What is the public scandal, though? Elliott was a participant in a notorious scandal involving Edgar Allan Poe and Francis Sargent Osgood, both of whom were married to others. Accounts of the particulars of the scandal and the sequence of events differ. At the time, Poe was at the height of his fame thanks to his work The Raven, and a number of women in literary societies sent him letters, including Elliott and Osgood. Some of the letters sent may have been flirtatious or amorous ones. Elliott also spent time with Poe discussing literary matters, so they were like hanging out, talking about poetry and stuff. During this time, Poe had written several poems to and about Osgood, including a Valentine. On one visit to Poe's home in January 1846, Elliott allegedly observed letters from Osgood shown to her by Poe's wife Virginia, and subsequently advised Osgood to ask for their return, implying to Osgood that they were indiscretion. On behalf of Osgood, Margaret Fuller and Anne Lynch Bada asked Poe to return the letters. Poe, angered by their interference, suggested that Elliot had better look after her own letters. You better look after your own letters. Yeah, you're missing Poe, Lady Llamacorn. We're just getting into the meat and butter of things. So you're not late. You're not late. I set today's stream early because of our Dungeons and Dragons game, but I think we may end up canceling tonight. And this, I think, is going to be a kind of a short one today anyway, because I don't think there's a whole lot of subject matter to go over. I mean, there's way more than 3 hours of stuff to go over, but I think for our interpretation, we're not going to need that much. So we may hop over and do something else here in a little bit. Wish I could say, but I gotta study. Get out of here, overspiced. Thank you. I'm gonna have to rewatch. That's what the YouTube channel's for. It's for rewatching. All right. On one visit to Poe's home. No, wait, we already read that. Look after his own letters. On one such letter. All right, have a good one, overspiced. Well, it's okay. Your education's more important. Your direct education is more important than me badly reading about Edgar Allan Poe. Go get it. Go get after it. Nail that test. One such letter, written in German, asked Poe to call for it at her residence this evening. Call for it at her residence this evening. A phrase presumably meant to be seductive, though Poe either ignored it or did not understand its meaning. He then gathered up these letters from Elliot and left them at her house. Despite her letters having been returned, Elliot asked her brother to demand of me the letters. Her brother, Colonel William Loomis, did not believe that Poe had already returned them and threatened to kill him. In order to defend himself, Poe requested a pistol from Thomas Dunn English, who did not believe that Elliot ever sent Poe any letters. Jesus Christ! What in the... Oh my God! Are you guys following this? That is insane. So, like, she, you know, because they didn't have text messaging, she was sending letters that had, like keys in there, like, hey, what's up? You want to fuck? And he either didn't reciprocate, or he ignored the advances, or, like, he didn't understand it. That's what it was. Either he ignored the advances, or he didn't understand it, and, like, brought the letters back to her and was like, what? Keep your own letters. Like, I don't know what's up with that. And then some other dude got involved and was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill this guy. Holy shit. That's a sitcom and a half right there. That's like a good 2.5 hour movie about like just Poe in the wrong place at the wrong time. To the Mario theme. That's how it always is. That's how it always is. It's always the Mario theme. That's what I use when I'm trying to focus and find stuff. It's a tick. I think it's a tick. Osgood's husband, Samuel Stillman Osgood, threatened to sue Elliot unless she formally apologized. She retracted her statements in a letter to Osgood saying, "The letter shown me by Miss Poe must have been a forgery created by Poe himself." She put all the blame on Poe, suggesting the incident was because Poe was intemperate and subject to acts of lunacy. So she just, like, straight up called him crazy, like, because oh my God, he denied her advances, and now she's calling him crazy, like, in the papers and stuff. The rumor that Poe is insane spread by Elliot and her enemies of Poe, and eventually reported in newspapers. After Osgood reunited with her husband, the scandal died down. Poe's sick wife, Virginia, however, was deeply affected by the scandal. As early as July 1845, she had been receiving anonymous letters, possibly from Elliot, which reported her husband's alleged discretions. On her deathbed, Virginia claimed Mrs. E had been her murderer. As Poe described years later, "I scorned Mrs. E simply because she revolted me, and to this day she never ceased her anonymous persecutions." It is believed that Poe wrote the story Hop Frog as a literary revenge on Elliot and others. That is crazy. So he denies her advances.
She calls him out in the press for being crazy. Like, this stuff never happened. I never approached you, anything like that. And then, like, Poe's wife accused her at the very end of being her murderer. So, yeah, it just all seems very, like, maybe she still had these. It wasn't necessarily revenge, like a lover's revenge. It was more just like, if I can't have you, then nobody will. You know what I mean? And so she killed his wife. Holy shit. That's crazy. Some of this stuff just like blows my mind. Like how just like these cartoonish plots throughout history, like you could totally see that being like a TV show or a movie, just like these outlandish, like all this fast-paced stuff happening at exactly the right times to make these people meet up. And I think about that when I watch anything historical too, you know, and it's always like right people, right time, right spot, you know, for this stuff to go down. And it's like back then, you know, 100 years or more, when like, you know, I don't know when the invention of the pocket watch was, but like it wasn't more than 150, 200 years ago. So like before the invention of time keeping devices, like trying to be in the right spot at the right time, like meeting somebody somewhere at the right time, just seems like a very daunting, difficult task, you know, because you don't know what 3 o'clock in the afternoon is. So I don't know. Food for thought. So let's go. Let's jump back into Poe's biography. Look at young Edgar Allan Poe. Look at him. Look at him. This is from the poemuseum.org. So we can go over some of his stuff here. So he's born to traveling actors Eliza and David Poe. Leaving Eliza. Wait. David abandoned the family. So his father abandoned the family, left mom to care for 3 kids. In a devastating turn, Eliza contracted. So and then mom got sick with tuberculosis, spent the last few months of her life in Richmond, leaving behind her 3 children. 2-year-old Edgar was taken in by Richmond couple, John and Frances Allen. So he was taken in by different parents. Oh, he a cutie. Taken in by different parents, a cause and result of constant tensions between him and his foster father. He did not take their last name, but instead became Edgar Allan Poe. As a teenager, Poe enjoyed the life of the elite upper class. So, as a teenager, so like this foster parents, they were rich, they were loaded, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna make my own name. And so, like, before he went into a hard life of writing and trying to make that a career, it looks like he did enjoy like a pretty good teenage life. In 1824, young Edgar Allan Poe was part of a junior honor color guard that escorted the Revolutionary War General Marquis de Lafayette around Richmond, Virginia. Lafayette and the color guard stopped at Richmond's old stone house to visit the Edge family, the Ege family, who had assisted in the American Revolution. Poe stood guard on the front steps of the house. 98 years later, the old stone house became the Poe Museum. At the age of 17, Edgar traveled to Charlottesville to attend the University of Virginia. He left behind a fiancée, Elmira Royster, who promised to wait until after graduation to marry. Edgar almost immediately ran into trouble at UVA. Although he was a talented student, he had arrived at a college with only $110 for tuition, and the tuition was 3 times that, so he decided to gamble the rest of his funds. Instead, Edgar generated $2,000 worth of debt. How do you do that? How do you turn $110 into $2,000 worth of debt? After just a couple months at UVA, he returned to the Richmond disappointed and continued to feud with his foster father. To make matters worse, Elmira had become engaged to someone else while Edgar was off at UVA. Elmira's father had intercepted Edgar's letters and steered her in the direction of another man who promised to be a successful businessman and respectable citizen, something Edgar could not promise. That's crazy. Poe then moved to Boston. He didn't stay long, but during that time he published his first book of poetry, Tamerlane and Other Poems, under the pseudonym Bostonian. When Poe was 18, he joined the Army under the name Edgar Perry. Poe did exceptionally well in the Army, rising to the rank of sergeant major in just 2 years. He then went to West Point, where once again he did well academically but ran into financial issues. Poe was court-martialed for extreme dereliction of duty. He then moved to Baltimore. So it looks like he did a really good job in the Army. Like and then like I don't know. He just ran into he was probably gambling or something, ran into financial issues. In Baltimore, Poe lived with several relatives, including his aunt, Marie Clement, her daughter, Virginia. I think we read about them already. She shifted. We did. We read about them earlier. Publication that took special interest in. It was the Southern Literary Messenger based in Richmond, Virginia. Poe published Metzengerstein, which is considered his first horror story, and Berenice, which was so graphic and terrifying that the magazine received multiple complaints from readers. Editor Thomas White offered Poe a job on the staff of the Messenger. Poe agreed and moved back to Richmond. So he wrote a story that was so horrific that the news, like the magazine, was getting complaints, and then they made him an editor at the magazine. It's great. That actually is really cool, to get like complaints for your work, and then the company that you do the work for is like, hey, we want to bring you on full time. You know how to get people excited. Poe's literary career. Soon after Poe joined the Southern Literary Messenger, he and White began to have issues, the root of which perhaps came from Poe's drinking. Poe invited his aunt and cousin, Maria and Virginia, to live with him in Richmond. 1 year later, Poe and Virginia then got married. She was 13, he was 27. This is an unlikely pairing, and there's much more debate about the nature of their situation, but a lot of people perceived it as like more of like a brother-sister relationship. Although many people today presume their relationship was familial, we ultimately will never know what happened in their marriage behind closed doors. Virginia and Maria had a stabilizing effect on Poe. He seemed to be more responsible and happier during the years that they were with him. Okay. Poe's most famous piece is The Raven. Once published in the early months of 1845, this poem made him an overnight success. Before the publication, Poe was well known in literary circles, but because of The Raven, Edgar Allan Poe became a household name. Although Poe only made around $15 from the publication of The Raven, its international success created financial opportunities like taking on literary clients and giving lectures and recitations. Poe was the first American writer to live completely off of his earnings from writing, but for the most of Poe's adulthood, he struggled to financially support himself and his family. Unfortunately, by this time, his wife Virginia began exhibiting symptoms of tuberculosis, and then that's when she passed away. Poe never emotionally recovered from the death of his wife. It was evident that he relied on her for mental and emotional support. Poe began to drift back south towards the city of his childhood, Richmond. The death of Edgar Allan Poe. Poe Dan Marino. Told you, it's once you hear it once, you can't stop. Can't stop. I do want to read a little bit more about his military career. Let's read a little bit more about his military career before we read about his untimely death, and then we're gonna jump into The Raven after that. So we have a plan. This has actually gone really smooth, like chronologically. It's been a very smooth episode so far. We've covered like the early life stuff, like you guys wanted to go into the marriage stuff, so we talked a lot about Clem. Then we kind of talked about his career and his money earning and stuff. He only made $15 for The Raven, but because of that, it got him, paid gigs to go everywhere and talk about the work and to recite the work to people. So that's super cool. So like he didn't get paid a whole lot for the product itself, but he's getting paid to go like talk about being the author of it. So he struggled, but he's the first American writer to live completely off of his writing, which is pretty cool. You guys hear that slurp, slurp, slurp? I'm sorry, it's going to happen again. I need every last little bit of caffeine. All right. Military career. Poe was unable to support himself, so he enlisted in the United States Army as a private on May 27th, 1827, using the name Edgar A. Perry. He claimed that he was 22 years old, even though he was 18. He first served at Fort Independence in Boston Harbor for $5 a month. Oh my God, I cannot believe the amount of money. Like, that's just insane. $5 a month. Could you imagine? Like, I know minimum wage sucks, but like $5 a month? you better be able to buy like all the food you need for a month for $1 if you're only getting paid $5 a month. I bet like $1 better get you like a shit ton of food. You know what I mean? He first served at Fort Independence in Boston Harbor. That same year, he released his first book, a 40-page collection of poetry entitled Tamerlane and Other Poems, attributed with the byline by a Bostonian. We already heard about that. That was his pseudonym. For whatever reason, he didn't want to release it under his own name at first. Only 50 copies were printed, and the book received virtually no attention. Poe's regiment was posted to Fort Moultrie in Charleston, South Carolina, and traveled by ship on the brig Waltham on November 8th, 1827. Poe was promoted to artificer and enlisted tradesman who prepared shells for artillery and had his monthly pay doubled. So he's getting paid $10 a month instead of $5. He served for 2 years. 2 years! Oh my god. Military pay sucks, but they provide housing, transportation, food. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man. $10 a month, and you have attained the rank of sergeant major for artillery. It's the highest rank that a non-commissioned officer could achieve. It says it right there on the Wikipedia page. He then sought to end his 5-year enlistment early. Poe revealed his real name and the circumstances to his commanding officer, Lieutenant Howard. So he went under a completely different name. He just showed up for the military and gave him a fake name and lived and served with the military for 5 years under a fake name. That is crazy. His name and circumstances, commanding officer, Lieutenant Howard, who would only allow Poe to be discharged if he reconciled with Allen. Poe, oh wow. So he would only allow Poe to be discharged if he reconciled with his foster father. Poe wrote a letter to Allen, who was unsympathetic and spent several months ignoring Poe's pleas. Allen may not have written to Poe even to make him aware of his foster mother's illness. Frances Allen died on February 28, 1829, and Poe visited the day after her burial. Perhaps softened by his wife's death, Allen agreed to support Poe's attempt to be discharged in order to receive an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. That is crazy. Their penny was probably worth more than $1. Yeah, probably. Before entering West Point, he moved back to Baltimore for a time to stay with his widowed Aunt Maria Clem, her daughter Virginia Elizabeth. So that's when he met his child bride cousin wife. Poe traveled to West Point and matriculated as a cadet on July 1st, 1830. Allen married his second wife, Louisa Patterson. So now his foster father is remarried. The marriage and bitter quarrels with Poe over the children born to Allen out of extramarital affairs led to the foster father finally disowning Poe. Poe decided to leave West Point by purposely getting court-martialed on February 8th, 1831. He was tried. Wow, so his foster father finally disowned him because of the new wife, and so because of that, he was just like, I can't do the military thing anymore. I got to get out. I got to get out. So he got out of the military. It doesn't say how he got court-martialed, but he got court-martialed. He probably like punched a guy or something, maybe, I don't know. And then he just kept going to work on his poems and stuff. In February 1831, and released a third volume of poems simply titled Poems. That was sick. I was not expecting that. It's time for my third album. Yeah, I'm a poet. Oh yeah, how many works do you? Well, I've released 3 volumes, and the third volume just came out. Oh yeah, what's it called? It's called Poems. The book was financed with help from his fellow cadets at West Point, many of whom donated 75 cents to the cause, which was we were just talking about is a lot of money, raising a total of $170. So they raised his fellow cadets helped raise $170 to promote and print his book. They may have been expecting verses similar to the satirical ones that Poe had been writing about commanding officers. It was printed by Elon Bliss of New York, labeled as second edition, including a page saying, "To the U.S. Corps of Cadets, this volume is respectfully dedicated." The book once again reprinted the long poems Tamerlane and Al Araf, but also 6 previously unpublished poems, including early versions of To Helen, Israfel, and the City of the Sea. Poe returned to Baltimore to his aunt, brother, and cousin in March 1831. His elder brother Henry had been in ill health, in part due to problems with alcoholism, and he died on August 1st, 1831. So, like, right after he came home, he finally got to come home from the military, and then, like, 2 months later, his dad, or his brother passed away from alcoholism. We don't need to read about his publishing career, his prospectus. Cottage in Fordham, now the Bronx, where Poe spent his last years. This is where Poe died. It's actually like a nice little house. That's not what I would expect when you're like Edgar Allan Poe. Like, where did he die? Like, that's not what I would expect. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's not what I would expect at all. Okay, how do I? All right, now we're going to get into his death. Dun, dun, dun. While in Richmond, Poe rekindled his childhood romance with Elmira Royster Shelton, who was then a wealthy widow. At the dismay of her children, she and Poe once again became engaged in 1849. Poe planned to move permanently to Richmond to be with Elmira. He planned a trip to New York to bring Maria, his mother-in-law, back to Richmond. He was also planning to see a client in Philadelphia on the way up the coast, which I know, I bet you they had not met. He said his childhood romance, Elmira Royster. You guys remember on Eliza's deathbed, or Clem, sorry, on Clem's deathbed, she said that Mrs. E had me murdered. And everybody thought that she was talking about the Elliot lady, because she was like all the scandal stuff that was going on with that. But his next wife's name starts with an E, and it also happens to be his childhood flame. Is that a coincidence? Is it? Or was she watching the whole time, and then she just watched like Poe go through his success and become a writer, even though he wasn't making a bunch of money for it? Like, he was still well known and being talked about everywhere. And then like maybe she came in and had his wife killed so she could, I don't know. But nothing surprises me anymore reading about this shit throughout history, because like, it's fucking crazy. But just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, Mrs. E. Because she didn't say, I thought at first she said Miss Elliot in particular. But no, she said Mrs. E had me murdered. They don't say how she became a widow either. Yeah, that's a good point. They don't say how she became a widow. Poe's last day in Richmond was on September 26th, 1849. Elmira was worried about his health after his bout of cholera. Like, just, oh, you got some bad gas? No, I got some cholera. It'll be fine in a couple days. His health had been quite fragile. She encouraged Poe to visit the doctor, who is also a friend. Oh my God, are we like figuring out some crazy ass murder mystery? Because like, I know there's some scandalous rumors, and there's actually either a book or a video game or something called the Mysterious Conspiracy of Edgar Allan Poe or something. So I'm curious to see what that stuff's about. But anyway, so the doctor was a friend. Keep that in mind. Poe did see the doctor, but it was primarily a social visit. He had a late meal at Sadler's Restaurant, and at 4 a.m. on September 27th, 1849, Poe boarded a ship headed for Baltimore. From September 27th until October 3rd, there is no record of his whereabouts. What the fuck? So he just like right soon before his death, from September 27th to October 3rd. So like, he just disappeared. This dude just disappeared. Nobody knew where he was. On October 3rd, an election day, Poe was found delirious in a tavern called Gunner's Hall in Baltimore. He appeared drunk, wearing someone else's clothes, and was taken to Washington University Hospital. For the next 4 days, he was in and out of consciousness, sometimes being alert, sometimes screaming at nothing and no one. Edgar Allan Poe died on October 7th, 1849. The doctor labeled his cause of death as phrenitis, inflammation of the brain, which was commonly used when the true cause of death was unknown. Because of these mysterious circumstances and the persona of Poe, there is much speculation about the true manner of his death. There are over 26 published theories on his demise so far. There's like 26 published theories on how he died. Poe's death, although untimely and unfortunate, was quite the fitting end for a writer who created stories of true horror and mystery. Even in death, Edgar Allan Poe created a mystery that would live on forever. So again, with the art aspect of it, like, did he do it on purpose? Did he know that his coming days were numbered and like he tried to plan his death in some sort of like big rememberable way, you know? David Bowie. I don't know if any of you guys know about like the last days of David Bowie. David Bowie knew he was pretty sick and like knew he didn't have much time. This motherfucker wrote an entire album and filmed music videos for it and everything around his own death because he knew he was dying. And if that is not like the ultimate commitment to your craft and your life and your legacy, just holy shit, man. Just the power that is, it's so deep. It's so deep that like even in the face of your own demise, you are still trying to create some art and something memorable around it. Like one of the music videos from his last album, before he passed away, was him in a hospital bed, like with all the tubes and stuff coming out. And I mean, like it really emotion invoking imagery. It's crazy. So like maybe Edgar Allan Poe did the same. He's like, I'm a horror mystery writer. I love this type of stuff. Maybe I'll disappear for a couple of days and like kind of make sure that everybody knows that I was gone for a couple of days. I'll make a big deal about it coming back. And I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I don't know what his actual cause of death was either. Well, we have come to the time. We have learned about his death now. Now we are going to jump into Edgar Allan Poe's actual works. We're going to read The Raven. We're going to read The Raven, which is going to be not a huge task. It won't take long. But we're gonna read The Raven and maybe a couple of his other works. We're gonna talk a little bit about it and create a dialogue. Maybe answer some questions if you guys have any questions that haven't been answered yet. And then we'll probably jump over to something else. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But for now, we're gonna take a quick break because I need something to drink. My mouth is extremely dry. Coffee does that. I gotta pee, all that stuff. But get ready because it's going to get real creepy when I start narrating this here in a little bit. But yeah, so if you need to get some snacks or a drink or something, now's the time. Now's the time. Excuse me. Once upon should I go? I should probably go like darker with it, right? Like once upon a midnight. We're gonna get it. We just gotta get into the cadence. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to the still beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating, entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating, entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. Sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore? This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mine of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Through thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly grin, an ancient raven wandering the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore, quoth the raven, nothing more. Much as I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore, for we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as nevermore. But the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word.
Will peel my husk and butter me up.
What up, Tim?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe. We were in the middle of reading The Raven. We're reading The Raven. But now we gotta stop. Because Hoopy Tim subscribed for 28 months, which is insane. I can't believe you would do this. Thank you so much, Hoopy Tim. You're a wonderful gentleman. Thank you so much for being my friend. You're wonderful, you're amazing, you're one of a kind. Thank you again. Even though you ruined the Raven, I can't believe Hoopy Tim would do this. Why'd you do this? I'll get my coat. Thank you, man. Thank you. That is absolutely insane. We've had way over 2 babies. We've had 3 babies. Now have a seat, stay a while. I agree. I think it's a good place to be, especially because we got this. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather, then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird, and bust, and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking, fancy unto fancy, thinking, what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat, engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamp-light gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamp-light gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled onto tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me, truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels named Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels named Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door, quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out the shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. I fucked that last little paragraph up. I gotta do that again. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Boom! We nailed it. For the most part. Felt good about it. I think we did good. So that is the Raven. What other Edgar Allan Poe's? This is, what do we got? Poems and Poets. Poet's Home. It's probably gonna have like a lot of poets in it. We just want Edgar Allan Poe. Poem. Is there like something of all his poems? Is there something of all his poems? Because Raven was on here. I wouldn't mind doing another one. You have a quote from Dream Within a Dream tattooed on your shoulder. That's cool. Is that an Edgar Allan Poe poem? Who's the author? Framed by Poems. Yeah. Let's do. These 4 poems. Can we search? That's him. Yep, is it? Let's read that one. Okay, I'm not typing anything. It's fucking garbage. Just for him. I can't type. Dream within a dream. Dream within a dream. That's the same website. You're on the same website that I'm on. You just found it a little bit faster. Look at you go. That's dope, dude. Thank you. Thank you, Llama Corn. Thank you, Llama Corn. Dreams from a Dream Book. No, I want the actual poem. Here it is. Take this kiss upon the brow. It's like I don't know what voice to use for it. That's so fucking funny though, because there's an exclamation point, so it's yelling. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow, you are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep while I weep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Oh, that was it. That was the end. Because, like, you gotta put inflections on those, you know what I mean? Kind of want to try it again. Do it one more time. Do it one more time. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. Wholly few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep. While I weep, oh God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? Oh God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? Yeah, I feel better about that one. Let's go. Let's go. But that concludes episode 5 of Opto Explains It All. Edgar Allan Poe was our topic today. That was probably the most streamlined episode we've done so far. That was amazing. Like literally, like perfect timeline going through the events. It was good. It was good. I think we're getting a little bit better at this, because like the first couple episodes, I felt like it was super jumbled, and we were like going to the front of the timeline, to the back, and then just like bouncing around everywhere like a Quentin Tarantino film. And today's episode was I'm like really proud about this one. This one was really good, guys. So thank you for that. I am not done streaming. It's time to switch over and play some video games for sure. I need to get my game time in. But that was amazing. Holy shit. That was super cool, guys. And I'm excited to put that one up. If you guys are not following the YouTube channel yet for that, it's just Opto Explains It All. I don't know if I have a link up yet for it. I don't. I will make sure to get a link by next week, but if you want to reach out and find it on your own, the last 4 episodes are up and available on there. So everything's up there. You can watch the whole series, and it's pretty cool, man. I really, thinking about it, it's like, because each episode's been like 3 hours, except for today's. Today was only 2 hours. So like, was that 3, 6, 9, 12? That's 14 hours. 14 hours of Opto Explaining It All is available on YouTube. And it's all super informative, really funny at times. Thank you. You had me on low volume while you're working. Clap, clap, clap. Clap, clap, clap. Clap, clap, clap. But Edgar Allan Poe is done. Love it.